yourself.
Namaste. Welcome to another edition of Navimash podcast. Today, on the auspicious occasion of our 78th Independence Day, we are going to read the most revered book which started our independence struggle, uh, Anandamath. So we are today going to read the translation of in English of Anandamath by Rishi Aurobindo. So we also have with us uh, Rishi is
Namaste,
here.
Dada.
Yeah, Rishi is
Hmm?
here. So before we start our reading session, we would just like to play the most famous song, okay, the most revered song of our independence struggle in the early days of independence in 1800s, Vande Mataram. So the audience, all of you, just take a few minutes and the song will be played for everybody.
वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् सुजलां सुफलां मलयज शीतला शस्य श्यामलां मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् शुभ्रज्योत्स्नां पुलकितयामिनी पुल्लकुसुमित द्रुमदलशोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुरभाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरम् कोटि कंठ कल कल निनाद करले कोटि कोटि भुजै धृत खर खर वाले अबला मारत बोले बहुबल धारिणी नमामि कालिनी रिपुदल वारिणी मातरं वन्दे मातरम् तुमि विद्या तुमि धर्म तुमि रिधि तुमि मर्मा त्वं हि प्राणाः शरीरे बाहुते तुमि मा शक्ति हृदये तुमि मा भक्ति तुम्हारी प्रतिमा गढ़ी मंदिरे मंदिरे वन्दे मातरम् त्वं हि दुर्गा दश प्रहरण धारिणी कमला कमल दल विहारिणी वाणी विद्यादायिनी नमामि त्वां नमामि कमला ममला अतुला सुजला सुफलां मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् श्यामलां सरलां सुस्मितां भूषितां धरणीं धरणीं मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम्
भारत माता की जय।
So this is the song that we had prepared for this session. So we have Rishi with us. Rishi, could you upload the PDF before we start the reading? And for the audience who like to join us, okay, I am going to post the podcast link, live link on the members only post. So you can join us a little bit later when we finish our reading session. So Rishi, over to you. I think Rishi is having some audio troubles, but I think he will be back. Till then, we have in our amongst with us quantum pulse is there, and yeah, yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, the song has suddenly brought the feeling of Mahalaya to the upcoming Independence Day. So it's really an auspicious occasion. So we thought let's read let's read the original text which inspired thousands and thousands of revolutionaries to fight against the British. Yeah, Rishi, welcome back. Mm, Rishi, you need to unmute yourself if you can unmute, or else I will try to upload the book from my end. Let me just upload the book from my end. Let me see. I should have the book. No, not this one. Give us a second. We are just prepping the book. Rishi had the book, but unfortunately, he is having some technical troubles to upload the book. Yeah, I think I got the book. Hold on. Bear with us for a few minutes. Yeah, I have the book. Let me just share the screen here for the audience. Okay, so audience, you should be able to see the book now. It is there on the screen, and we'll try to increase the font as well. Let me get this one right. So today we are going to read. Yeah, Rishi.
Apologies, Dada, and to all the audiences. There are some technical
Mhm.
glitches which I'm facing with, so we'll ask for
No issue.
forgiveness from audience as well as Dada.
Yeah, no issue, no issue. I
Yes,
have the
so
book uploaded here, so you can read it from here itself. Okay.
yes,
So
definitely.
yeah, so before we read the book, just if you can give us the background of this translation. So for the audience, Anandamath was originally a Bengali novel, fictional novel, uh, based on the sannyasi withdrawal, the sannyasi struggle. Okay, so based on that, there is a fictional story, and in that novel itself, we had the in Bengali we call say Kaljoi, okay, the eternal the song Vande Mataram, which was the anthem of the revolutionaries across India. So or to Bharat, from Maharashtra to Bengal to every corner of this Bharat, people were singing the song and getting their revolutionary spirit. So, if you could give us a bit of background into this translation by Rishi Aurobindo.
Yes. Namaste to all, to everyone. Uh, so on this great initiative of reading Anandamath, uh, so to all the audiences, the information which I'll be giving right now. Um, there might be some gaps, so kindly try to pardon that. It's a problem from my side, so yeah. So let's proceed with it. So we know about Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, the author. First, I think we need to investigate about him more. So Bankim was born in 1830s, and from a very not a very rich background, but a moderately rich background. He came, and his primary education was in Hindu College. So now we know that Hindu College as the Presidency University of Kolkata. And he's also one of the first graduates of that college. And that has a great significance in Indian history as well, because that batch of graduates were part of a movement called Young Bengal Movement. So in that, so when we talk about, okay, Dada, you may also comment on it. When we talk about the Macaulay system entering into India, obliterating the Gurukul system of the past, with the incursion of that system, there was, what should I say, poisoning of Hindus, especially in as far as values, religious morals, ethics were concerned. So during that generation, which Bankim was also a part of, people were flouting Indian culture and Indian heritage. Also, to some extent, were very much cordial to the British norms and were very much subservient to British proclivities, and also they justified the colonialism as a great gift for India at that time. So that's the era, and that's the background from which Bankim comes. What was different about Bankim was not situated only in Calcutta. So he had to travel a lot, given he was a magistrate as well. So he had to travel to Odisha, to Bengal, the large Bengal parts, like in the eastern part, like today's present-day Bangladesh, and also the Bihar and so on. Over there, he got the taste of India in the real sense, like in the villages. So he encountered the common people's lives, their struggles, their religious morals, ethics, and so on. That changed a lot within him. And also some very bad personal encounters with the British officials. In one, he was also beaten up by some Britishers. This really created some issues within him, and also shattered some of his earlier beliefs that he had, which I said was because of the Hindu college education that he had went through. We see that from then onwards in his literature, uh, if someone gets to read about his Gita Bhashya, so he also commented on Gita in the second chapter, till second chapter only. So even in that, he gets into this problem of English education and says that this is very much a problem, and it is causing this whole colonialism justification as well within the Indian people, especially the elites. And that is creating a very major rift within the common masses and the uber elites of Calcutta at that time. Calcutta being the capital of India, British Empire of India. From then onwards, we see with Gita Bhashya, he starts to write many essays on India's problems, India's past histories, politics as well. He gets deep down into it, and also uses a very unique approach where he takes the help of Auguste Comte's positivism as an ideology, and also inculcates the ideas from Hindu Shastras as well, and argues for India's independence, especially. But in that, he had a caveat. So he was of the belief, which we'll get to know more when we read the text itself also, that the British system that we have right now, and what we are deficient in as Indians, is in the area of science and technology. That's the thing that we need to grasp, need to have a grasp as fast as possible. So in that, he saw some sort of merit with the British system, but in every other way, he was opposed to it. Then he launches a very seminal journal of his, Bongo Darshan. In that, in the Sahitya section, for the first time, he actually writes the Vande Mataram under the heading of patriotic songs, Deshattva Giti. In that, he writes this song for the very first time. It's in chaste Sanskrit and some Bangla mixed in it, but everyone understands it. It became very famous even at that time, but it also had very adverse problems for him, given he was also a British official, administrative official as well. So he was very careful too in that regard. Then he writes Anandamath. It's a very late novel of his, if we see, as far as the timeline is concerned. Before that, he gets into many other topics, but Anandamath is the last, and also, if I am not wrong, published posthumously after his death. It's published. So we know why is that the case, because later on we see Anandamath being banned by the British government in India. So Anandamath now, let's get into this. So Anandamath, as a text, is inspired, as Dada said, from the Sannyasi rebellion, which took place right after 1867, if I'm not wrong. So 1857, Battle of Palasi happens. Bengal and the Bengal Suba with Odisha and some parts of Bihar are taken under the British suzerainty, and then sorry, not even British, East India Company. And from 1867 onwards, you have famines in Bengal, huge famines. So in Bengali history, it's called ছিয়াত্তরের মন্বন্তর. It's a very infamous period of Bengal history. Millions of people dying, abject poverty, and huge cases of harassments against women folks. It's a dreaded situation at that time. So during this period, we see the sannyasins, the Hindu sannyasins, the Dashanami, and even some Vaishnavas also joining in and trying to resist the colonial administration along with their lackeys. We'll get into that. We will not reveal it right now. Who were the lackeys, quote unquote. So these things he got to know about from his education as well, but the main kernel of it that he could get information of was from the travels that he had in the rural Bengal. So he went to those parts where, which were actually the main key points where the sannyasi battles happened with the British administration and so on. From there, he got all of this information, and he wrote some of the other novels as well, which are connected to this Sannyasin rebellion. One of them being the famous Devi Chaudharani, where the heroine of the novel and also her teacher are actual characters in the Sannyasi rebellion historically. The Devi Chaudharani and her teacher Bhavani Pathak. So this being the second or let's say the final edition of that Sannyasi rebellion epic of his, if we can consider that, Devi Chaudharani and Anandamath, this being the last one. In this, there is the, what should we say? So there is this justification given for why India should be independent. And why is that the case? We get to know of more of it in one of his philosophical essays called Dharmatattva Anushilan. In that, he gets into the topic of what is the highest of dharmas, what is the highest expression of dharma. One of them being, he concludes, nationalism. Nationalism being the highest expressions of dharma. In a way, nationalism he also points out as one of the best expressions of brotherhood a human being can actually express in his life.
Yeah, Rishi,
because nation is one of the concepts.
Yeah, Rishi, just to add to your comment here, okay. So as we can see here, so we can see here in 1886 the first English edition was translated into Bengali. But after that, in 1900s to 1920s, you see multiple Indian languages. It was translated into Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, and other Indian languages, spreading nationalist ideas. So, as I was mentioned in the original intro, okay, that the song Vande Mataram, okay, and the novel uh, Anandamat, it was a kind of a binding factor which actually like coalesced into a nationalist movement, and that focal point of this nationalist movement, this rebellion against the British rule, a very pivotal role was played by this novel called Anandamat. So, like if people analyze the impact of Anandamat in the national, we call Navajagaran, okay, the national conscience, okay, of Bharatiya identity, Vande Mataram song and Anandamat novel is intrinsically has played a very pivotal role in galvanizing Bharatiyas across language traditions, from Tamil speaking people, Marathi people, and other people, to read that novel, sing the song, and reinvigorate their identity of Bharatiya. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. So what I was talking about was the thesis which Bonkim gave about the highest expression of brotherhood which a human being can express is through nationalism, because in a nation state he has to uh, come across with this idea that not just his kith and kin, but the whole nation and the people inside that nation, all of them, uh, we are all tied by the we are what should I say? So we have the notion of brotherhood with that set of people which are residing in the nation. So the highest expression, according to Bonkim, was through nationalism alone that we could show this expression of brotherhood. He gets deep into it, but we shall discuss some other day. Or Bonkim, Vimarsh Dada has a very great surprise for it as well. We'll wait for it. So on that issue, yeah.
Yeah. So for the audience, I'm just giving a graphical intro into the novel's impact on Indian freedom struggle, how it motivated many people. It mass mobilized. It created a concept of Mother India. So this concept of Mother India, although it existed, but it solidified and reinvigorated into Mother India concept, and that was done via the novel itself.
Yes. Bonkim actually discusses this, that he saw, it was his opinion, of course, audience can comment on it. So it was his opinion that even though there was this concept of Mother India, like Bharati Mata and so on, he saw lack of it, like within, what should I say, in rhetoric, if we can say so, of Mother India. He saw lack of it, and he thought of fulfilling it by this great epic. I should call it epic, but it's a very small novel, but it's an epic for us. This nationalistic epic, he sought to fulfill it, and he did. He actually solidified this concept of Mother India in the most brilliant form.
Absolutely. And for the members of the channel, I have posted the link on the members only link post. So people who want to discuss this with us and share their opinions, share their thoughts, they can join the live stream live with us via the members only post. I have already posted the link to the video. And yeah, Rishi. So let's now start reading the book itself, the novel itself.
Oh, yes, sure. Sure, we can. So, yeah, next page.
Yeah, I think we'll go to.
So,
Yeah. We can really go to the chapter 1, or we want to read the forward.
Your wish, Dada. What do you think?
Let's skip it as of now, because I think let's go to the novel itself directly. Because we will
Fine.
doing a one more program on Rishi Aurobindo himself a little bit later. So let's, as
Yes.
of now, try to read the chapter. I think we have the
Fine.
chapter ready. Yeah. So let's start the reading session. Go ahead.
Hmm. It was a summer day. Sorry. Chapter 1. It was a summer day of the Bengali year 1176. The glare and heat of the sun lay very heavy on the village of Podachinho. Dada,
Hmm.
there is one thing I think
Hmm.
we are missing.
Which one? Which one?
Apologies to the audience. I think you'll
Hmm.
also like it. So let me
Which
just
one?
share it with you. So the prologue. Okay,
Hmm.
we will have to read the prologue, which
Okay.
comes before. So yeah.
Fine. No problem.
Just
I'll just.
just a page before. Yeah, just a page
Ah.
before.
Here
Yeah.
it is. Go ahead.
So just for information of the audience, so Bonkim in this prologue actually like he gives us hint for the message of the whole novel itself. So it's a very important part. Even in Bengali, it's a very important part, and many later authors have commented on this specific prologue alone. Not even on the whole novel, but only on this specific prologue alone, and you'll know why it is so. Let us read that prologue. A wide, interminable forest. Most of the trees are shawls, but other kinds are not wanting. Treetop mingling with treetop, foliage melting into foliage, the interminable lines progress, without crevice, without gap, without even a way for the light to enter. League after league, and again, league after league, the boundless ocean of leaves advances, tossing wave upon wave in the wind. Underneath, thick darkness. Even at midday, the light is dim and uncertain, a seat of terrific gloom. There, the foot of man never treads. There, except the illimitable rustle of the leaves and the cry of wild beasts and birds, no sound is heard. In this interminable, impenetrable wilderness of blind gloom, it is night. The hour is midnight, and a very dark midnight. Even outside the woodland, it is dark, and nothing can be seen. Within the forest, the piles of gloom are like the darkness in the womb of the earth itself. Bird and beast are utterly and motionlessly still. What hundreds of thousands, what millions of birds, beasts, insects, flying things have their dwelling within that forest, but not one is giving forth a sound. Rather, the darkness is within the imagination. But inconceivable is that noiseless stillness of the ever murmurous, ever noise filled earth. In that limitless empty forest, in the solid darkness of that midnight, in that unimaginable silence, there was a sound. Shall the desire of my heart ever be fulfilled? After that sound, the forest reaches sank again into stillness. Who would have said then that a human sound had been heard in those wilds? A little while after, the sound came again. Again the voice of man rang forth, troubling the hush. Shall the desire of my heart ever be fulfilled? 3 times The white sea of darkness was thus shaken. Then the answer came. What is the stake put down? The first voice replied, I have staked my life and all its riches. The echo answered, Life? It is a small thing which all can sacrifice. What else is there? What more can I give? This was the answer, the soul's worship.
Yeah, it is a very profound. It gives something a feeling. Yeah, Rishi, you want to add anything to this specific prologue and the writings on this
Yeah,
before we move to chapter one?
yeah. So, yes. So, in this prologue, if the audience noticed that there is this picture which is created of a dark, gloomy forest, and only animals are being heard. No other sounds are being heard in there, and it's a Amavasya, I think, in the original Bengali. So actually, this is interpreted by later authors as well. Some of the great authors notice this as a reflection of colonialism upon India. So we are being totally oppressed and we have no other way. So there are no sounds except the sounds of other animals, so howls and cries. Basically, the suffering of human Indians are the, what should I say, analogy for it. And the nationalist over there, so the one who wants freedom, he shouts out over there in that prologue that um, how shall my desires be fulfilled? So how shall I get the freedom? How shall I free India? So this is being conveyed here with that whole quote. So the other voice which comes out is the voice of wisdom, or in the original Bengali, it's alluded to Ishvara, Bhagavan. So Bhagavan answers that you'll have to sacrifice something. So it's a message for the nationalists that you cannot get freedom just because you desire it. You'll have to put on stake something of yours. So when he says that I have given up all my life and my riches, so he says that life is a very small thing which you can sacrifice. What more can you? So this is the question which is asked by the nationalists, right? So what more can I do? So the answer which is given is the soul's worship. Uh, Now, what is this soul's worship? It's bhakti. So, what is this bhakti and how it is to be done? We'll get to know that in Anandamath. That's the whole message. Yeah.
Thank you, Rishi. I think this was something very important. Actually, we missed it because it was in English. But thank you very much. So let's carry on and start our reading session. So we're going to try to read the book session by session as much as possible till 15th of August. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Chapter 1. It was a summer day of the Bengali year 1176. The glare and heat of the sun lay very heavy on the village of Podochinho. The village was crowded with houses, yet there was not a man to be seen. Line upon line of shops in the bazaar, row upon row of booths in the mart, hundreds of earthen houses interspersed with stone mansions, high and low, in every quarter. But today, all was silent. In the bazaar, the shops are closed. And where the shopkeeper has fled, no man can tell. It is market day today, but in the mart, there is no buying and selling. It is the beggar's day, but the beggars are not out. The weaver has shut up his loom and lies weeping in his house. The trader has forgotten his traffic and weeps with his infant in his lap. Sorry. The givers have left giving, and the teachers close their schools. The very infant, it would seem, has no longer heart to cry aloud. No wayfarer, no wayfarers are to be seen in the highways, no bathers in the lake, no human forms at door and threshold, no birds in the trees, no cattle in the pastures, only in the burning ground dog and the jackal crowd. In that crowded desolation of houses, one huge building whose great fluted pillars could be seen from afar rose glorious as the peak of a hill. And yet, where was the glory? The doors were shut, the house empty of the concourse of men, hushed and voiceless, difficult even to the entry of the wind. In a room within this dwelling, where even noon was a darkness, in that darkness, like a pair of lilies flowering in the midnight, a wedded couple sat in thought. Straight in front of them stood famine. The harvest of the year, 1174.
Rishi,
Yes, Dada.
Rishi, just to for the audience because it's a very like an old novel written 2 centuries ago almost. Okay, more than actually 2 centuries. So, like, is it describing a kind of correct? You mentioned famine. So, is it that the
Yes,
famine affected village it is being described?
yes. So this is the famine of 1867, which occurred, and that's the picture which is being set over here. So different villages all were having this very grim picture of no human beings alive, or even if they are just inside houses crying aloud, and dead bodies in cremation grounds. And as you saw in that paragraph, Rishi Bonkim says that only dogs and jackals are creating crowds. There are no actual crowds. There is no human civilization itself. That's the grim picture.
Okay, let's read the para 2.
Yes. The harvest of the year 1174 had been poor. Consequently, in the year 1175, rice was a little dear. The people suffered, but the government extracted its revenues to the last fraction of a farthing. As a result of this careful reckoning, the poor began to eat only once a day. And the rains in 1175 were copious, and people thought heaven had taken pity on the land. Joyously once more the herdsman sang his ditty in the fields. The tiller's wife again began to tease her husband for a silver bracelet. Suddenly, in the month of Ashin, heaven turned away its face. In Ashin and Kartik, not a drop of rain fell. The grain in the fields withered and turned to straw as it stood. Wherever an ear or two flourished, the officials bought it for the troops. The people no longer had anything to eat. First, they stinted themselves for one meal in the day. Then, even from their single meal, they rose with half-filled stomachs. Next, the two meal times became two fasts. The little harvest reaped in Chaitra was not enough to fill the hungry mouths. But Muhammad Raza Khan, who was in charge of the revenues, thought fit to show himself off as a loyal servant and immediately enhanced the taxes by 10%. Throughout Bengal arose a clamor of great weeping. First, people began to live by begging. But afterwards, who could give alms? They began to fast. Next, they fell into the clutch of disease. The cow was sold, plough and yoke were sold, the seed rice was eaten, hearth and home were sold, land and goods were sold. Next, they began to sell their girls. After that, they began to sell their boys. After that, they began to sell their wives. Next, girl, boy, or wife. Who would buy? Purchasers there were none, only sellers. For want of food, men began to eat the leaves of trees. They began to eat grass. They began to eat weeds. The lower castes and the forest men began devouring dogs, mice, and cats. Many fled, but those who fled only reached some foreign land to die of starvation. Those who remained ate uneatables or subsisted without food till disease took hold of them and they died. Disease had its day: fever, cholera, consumption, smallpox. The virulence of smallpox was especially great. In every house, men began to perish of the disease. There was none to give water to his fellow, none who would touch him, none to treat the sick. Men would not turn to care for each other's sufferings, nor was there any to take up the corpse from where it lay. Beautiful bodies lay rotting in wealthy mansions, for where once the smallpox made its entry, the dwellers fled from the house and abandoned the sick man in their fear. Mahendra Singh was a man of great wealth in the village of Padachinho, but today rich and poor were on one level. In this time of crowding, afflictions, his relatives, friends, servants, maidservants had all been seized by disease and gone from him. Some had died, some had fled. In that once peopled household, there was only himself, his wife, and one infant girl. This was the couple of whom I spoke. The wife Kollani gave up thinking and went to the cowshed to milk the cow. Then she warmed the milk, fed her child, and went again to give the cow its grass and water. When she returned from her task, Mohendro said, "How long can we go on in this way?" "Not long," answered Kalyani. "As long as we can, so long as possible, I will keep things going. Afterwards, you and the girl can go to the town." Mohendra: "If we have to go to the town at the end, why should I inflict all this trouble on you at all? Come, let us go at once." After much arguing and contention between husband and wife, Kalyani said, "Will there be any particular advantage in going to the town?" Mohendra: "Very possibly that place too is an empty of men and empty of means of subsistence as we are here." Kalyani: "If you go to Murshidabad, Kashim Bazar, or Calcutta, you may save your life. It is in every way best to leave this place." Mahendra answered, "This house has been full of many years of the gathered wealth of generations. All this will be looted by thieves." Kalyani: "If thieves come to loot it, shall we too be able to protect the treasure? If life is not saved, who will be there to enjoy? Come, let us shut up the whole place this moment and go. If we survive, we can come back and enjoy what remains." "Will you be able to do the journey on foot?" asked Mohendra. "The palanquin bearers are all dead. As for cart or carriage, where there are bullocks, there is no driver, and where there is a driver, there are no bullocks." Kalyani: "Oh, I shall be able to walk. Do not fear." In her heart, she thought, even if she fell and died on the way, these two at least would be saved. The next day at dawn, the two took some money with them, locked up room and door, let loose the cattle, took the child in their arms, and set out for the capital. At the time of starting, Mohendra said, "The road is very difficult. At every step, dacoits and highwaymen are hovering about. It is not well to go empty-handed." So saying, Mohendra returned to the house and took from it musket, shot, and powder. When she saw the weapon, Kallani said, "Since you have remembered to take arms with you, hold Shukumari for a moment, and I too will bring a weapon with me." With the words, she put her daughter into Mohendra's arms, and in her turn, she entered the house. Mohendra called after her, "Why? What weapon can you take with you?" As she came, Kallani hid a small casket of poison in her dress. Fearing what fate might befall her in these days of misfortune, she had already procured and kept the poison with her. It was the month of Jaishtha, a savage heat, the earth as if aflame, the wind scattering fire, the sky like a canopy of heated copper, the dust of the road like sparks of fire. Kallani began to perspire profusely, now resting under the shade of a babla tree, now sitting in the shelter of a date palm, drinking the muddy water of dried ponds. With great difficulty she journeyed forward. The girl was in Mohendra's arms, and sometimes he fanned her with his robe. Once the two refreshed themselves, seated under the boughs of a creeper-covered tree flowering with odorous blooms and dark-hued with dense shade-giving foliage, Mohendra wondered to see Kallani's endurance under fatigue. He drenched his robe with water from a neighboring pool and sprinkled it on his and Kallani's face, forehead, hands, and feet. Kallani was a little cooled and refreshed, but both of them were distressed with great hunger. That could be borne, but the hunger and thirst of the child could not be endured. So they resumed their march. Swimming through those waves of fire, they arrived before evening at an inn. Mohendra had cherished a great hope that on reaching the inn, he would be able to give cool water to his wife and child to drink and food to save their lives. But he met with a great disappointment. There was not a man in the inn. Big rooms were lying empty. The men had all fled. Mohendra, after looking about the place, made his wife and daughter lie down in one of the rooms. He began to call from outside in a loud voice, but got no answer. Then Mohendra said to Kallani, "Will you have a little courage and stay here alone? If there is a cow to be found in this region, may Sri Krishna have pity on us, and I shall bring you some milk." He took an earthen water jar in his hand and went out. A number of such jars were lying about the place. Here ends chapter 1. Dada, any comments of yours?
Yes, so correct. So this novel starts in a very somber moment where today in the 78th years of our independence, where we have so much food that we have become obese, and food has become a kind of poison for people, and we have forgotten that our ancestors, how they lived and how they survived. So the people who think that times are not going to change forever and it will go on as it is, it doesn't change. It does change. So whatever material possessions we have, okay, they are there just for the moment. Okay. The real possessions of our lives. is our relationships, our behavior towards each other, our love towards each other, and that is something that we have been losing in our modern times, where material wealth is considered as the only wealth you can have.
It's amazing, right? So, uh, Bunkim is depicting the whole scenario where Mohindra has so much of wealth, but he cannot do anything. There are no other people to interact with, so what's the use of this wealth? He cannot even, his wife even says that uh, how can they even survive if some thieves attack them? There is no way to enjoy it. After all, if you are alive, then alone you can enjoy all of these things.
Yes, that is the most important thing that we consider. Like it's a human virtue that we think that if something is happening good, it will continue to happen, and something is bad, it will
Hmm.
happen continuously. But the reality is something very different.
True.
So we should not
And
forget.
hmm.
Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
Yes. Yes, so I was curious to ask you this. So, have you noticed that whole topic which was there in the first para in the chapter one, that people are dying, people are not tending to other people when they fall sick, especially from smallpox, and also even social capital is going way down. Like it's at an abysmal rate, right? At that time, with famine attacks and all diseases spreading.
Yes, that is what something I'm talking about. That when times are tough, okay, when your survival is at stake, that is you will know who is your friend and who is not your friend. That's why the real treasure that we all need to collect in our lives is relationships, not how much money you have in your bank account and how much house or how much material possession you have. The real treasure we all accrue in our lives is relationships. That if something happens to you, you will be saved, and something happens to your people whom you love, you will save them.
Dada, how would you look at Kalyani's role in this whole scenario? Like even in this whole scenario, she's thinking about if her husband and her daughter survives, that will be the best result. So even if she has to give up her own life, she's ready to do that. So how would you like represent her? Uh,
Yes. So let's not draw the binaries, okay? But in this, as we have seen multiple times, the way we see the way both men and women actually behave with each other, okay? And that is an outcome of concentrated a lot of propaganda, a lot of bad things, bad policies are happened. So let's not do the binaries. Let's look at from a perspective of both men and women. Correct. The wife is thinking about to saving the child and the husband, and the husband is concerned that how much pain you will feel because you have to walk, because there is no palanquin to actually carry her.
yes,
So it is
true,
it both ways, correct? So the wife is
totally,
thinking thinking the welfare of the child, and the husband is thinking how much pain and suffering my wife will have if when she have to walk in this uh, severe heat. So it is something which is
totally.
people need to understand that the relationships defines us actually in many ways. The kind of relationship that we build, okay, build with our friends, with our family, with our relatives, the kind of behavior we present to the other person, whoever can be, that actually defines us in so many ways.
Totally. Like you see that Mohendra, first of all, tells his wife that you and the daughter should stay at house. He will alone go to the city and fetch some livelihood perspectives for her well-being. And even in the journey, we see that he is going to the pond and wetting the robes and uh, showering the water from those robes on his wife and child's forehead and feet and hands, so that they do not have heat attacks because of this extreme heat of Jeshta Mas. Right? You see that.
Absolutely. So that word, correct? That word. So the real character, whether you are a man, woman, child, it actually reflects when you hit difficult times. As we know, there is a proverb that if you want your real taste of character comes only when bad times hit. You know who is your friend. Is not. Okay, let's read the chapter 2, and then we will invite audience if they want to discuss a few aspects of this novel itself.
Okay, okay, definitely. Chapter 2. Mohendra departed, left alone with no one near her but a little girl. Kalyani, in that solitary and unpeopled place, in that almost pitch dark cottage, began to study closely every side. Great fear was upon her. No one anywhere, no sound of human existence to be heard, only the howling of the dogs and the jackals. She regretted letting her husband go. Hunger and thirst might, after all, have been borne a little longer. She thought of shutting all the doors and sitting in the security of the closed house. But not a single door had either panel or bolt. As she was thus gazing in every direction, suddenly something in the doorway that faced her caught her eye, something like a shadow. It seemed to her to have the shape of a man, yet not to be human. Something utterly dried up and withered. Something like a very black and naked, a terrifying human shape had come and was standing at the door. After a little while, the shadow seemed to lift a hand, with the long withered finger of a long withered hand, all skin and bone. It seemed to make a motion of summons to someone outside. Kalyani's heart dried up in her with fear. Then just such another shadow, withered, black, tall, naked, came and stood by the side of the first. Then another came, and yet another came. Many came, slowly, noiselessly. They began to enter the room. The room, with its almost blind darkness, grew dreadful as a midnight burning ground. All those corpse-like figures gathered round Kalyani and her daughter. Kalyani almost swooned away. Then the black withered men seized and lifted up the woman and the girl, carried them out of the house and entered into a jungle across the open fields. A few minutes after Mohendra arrived with the milk in the water jar, he found the whole place empty. Hither and thither he searched, often called aloud his daughter's name, and at last even his wife's. There was no answer. He could find no trace of his wife and child.
Let's study chapter 2, 3, and then we will just discuss it with more.
Yes. Chapter 3. It was a very beautiful woodland in which the robbers sat down. Kalyani. There was no light, no eye to see the loveliness. The beauty of the wood remained invisible, like the beauty of soul in a poor man's heart. There might be no food in the country, but there was wealth of flowers in the woodland. So thick was the fragrance that even in that darkness, one seemed to be conscious of a light. On a clear spot in the middle, covered with soft grass, the thieves sat down, Kalyani and her child, and themselves sat around them. Then they began to debate what to do with them, for what ornaments Kalyani had with her were already in their possession. One group was very busy with the division of this booty, but when the ornaments had been divided, one of the robbers said, "What are we to do with gold and silver? Someone give me a handful rice in exchange for an ornament. I'm tortured with hunger. I have eaten today nothing but the leaves of trees." No sooner had one so spoken than all echoed him, and a clamor arose. "Give us rice, give us rice. We do not want gold and silver." The leader tried to quiet them, but no one listened to him. Gradually, high words began to be exchanged. Abuse flowed freely. A fight became imminent. Everyone in a rage pelted the leader with his whole allotment of ornaments. He also struck one or two, and this brought all of them upon him, striking at him in a general assault. The robber captain was emaciated and ill with starvation. One or two blows laid him prostrate and lifeless. Then one in that hunger, wrathful, excited, maddened troop of thunderers cried out, "We have eaten the flesh of dogs and jackals, and now we are racked with hunger."
Yeah.
Yeah, just a minute. "Come, friends, let us feast today on this rascal." Then all began to shout around aloud, "Glory to Kali! Bum Kali! Today we will eat human flesh." And with this cry, those black, emaciated, corpse-like figures began to shout with laughter and dance and clap their hands in the congenial darkness. One of them set about lighting a fire to roast the body of the leader. He gathered dried creepers, wood, and grass, struck flint and iron, and set light to the collected fuel. As the fire burnt up a little, the dark green foliage of the trees that were neighbor to the spot, mango, lemon, jackfruit, and palm, tamarind, and date, were lit up faintly with the flames. Dada,
Hmm.
just for a minute, can I attend some?
Please, please. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No. Yes. So as we can see, as we can read, that when times comes, the all the material wealth that we have gathered has no meaning in our lives when we don't have enough food to consume. It reminds me of the dystopian movies that we see or the westerns that we see, that people are fighting with each other, killing each other for small, small things. So whatever is value to us today, it may not hold value at all when times are tough. So audience, do let us know what are your thoughts in the comments. We'll try to
Yes,
discuss them.
yes, Dada.
Yes, so well, we were like I was talking about that whatever we think is wealth we have, okay, material wealth. When times comes, when times are tough, those material wealth have no value to us. So it reminds us of the dystopian novels that have been written, okay, or the Western movies, and it looks like a reminiscent of those Western dystopian movies and novels that we have seen.
And the saddest part, I think, in this is that our ancestors actually experienced these things repeatedly, unlike the West, which has to imagine it.
Hmm.
Ours is a history.
Yes, a lived history, not a history, a lived history.
Lived history. Yes. Not some borrowed invention of mind. Here yes, Dada, next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here the leaves seemed ablaze. There the grass brightened in the light. In some places the darkness only became more crass and deep. When the fire was ready, one began to drag the corpse by the leg and was about to throw it on the fire, but another intervened and said, "Drop it! Stop, stop! If it is on the ground, if it is on the grand meat that we must keep ourselves alive today, then why the tough and juiceless flesh of this old fellow? We shall eat what we have looted and brought with us today. Come along, there is that tender girl, let us roast and eat her." Another said, "Roast anything you like, my good fellow, but roast it. I can stand this hunger no longer." Then all gazed greedily towards the place where Kollani and her daughter had lain. They saw the place empty. Neither child nor mother was there. Kollani had seen her opportunity when the robbers were disrupting, taken her daughters into her arms, put the child's mouth to her breast, and fled into the wood. Aware of the escape of their prey, the ghost-like ruffian crew ran in every direction with a cry of "Kill, kill." In certain conditions, man is no better than a ferocious wild beast.
Yes, so it it shakes our conscience when we're reading this. And think about it,
Yes.
when this novel was written and people have actually experienced this.
And which is why I think it affected so many people in the most brutal way as possible. Like they had heard from their parents or they have experienced that itself, all of those things. So I'm just shocked to see how it's easy to get into cannibalism at that moment. This utter hunger, which cannot be sustained any longer.
Yes,
Chapter 4. Yes. The darkness of the wood was very deep, and Kollani could not find her way. In the thickly woven entanglement of trees, creepers and thorns, there was no path at the best of times, and on that there came this impenetrable darkness, separating the branches and creepers. Pushing through thorn and briar, Kollani began to make her way into the thickness of the wood. The thorns pierced the child's skin, and she cried from time to time, and at that the shouts of the pursuing robbers rose higher. In this way, with torn and bleeding body, Kollani made far progress into the woodland. After a little while, the moon rose. Until then, there was some slight confidence in Kollani's mind that in the darkness the robbers would not be able to find her, and after a brief and fruitless search would desist from the pursuit. But now that the moon had risen, that confidence left her. The moon, as it mounted into the sky, shed its light on the woodland tops, and the darkness within was suffused with it. The darkness brightened, and here and there, through gaps, the outer luminousness found its way inside and peeped into the thickets. The higher the moon mounted, the more the light penetrated into the reaches of foliage. The deeper all the shadows took refuge in the thicker parts of the forest. Kalyani, too, with her child, hid herself farther and farther where the shadows retreated. And now the robbers shouted higher and began to come running from all sides. and the child in her terror wept louder. Kalyani then gave up the struggle and made no further attempt to escape. She sat down with the girl on her lap on a grassy, thornless spot at the foot of a great tree and called repeatedly, "Where art thou, thou whom I worship daily, to whom daily I bow down, in reliance on whom I had the strength to penetrate into this forest? Where art thou, O Madhusudan?" At this time, what with fear, the deep emotion of spiritual love and worship, and the lassitude of hunger and thirst, Kalyani gradually lost sense of her outward surroundings and became full of an inward consciousness in which she was aware of a heavenly voice stinging, sorry, of a heavenly voice singing in midair. O Hari, O Murari, O Ho of Kaitava and Madhu, O Gopal, O Govinda, O Mukunda, O Shauri, O Hari, O Murari, O Fo of Kaitav and Madhu. So, for the audience, just an interruption. This is the translation for the Sanskrit mantra which the sannyasins, even at the time of battlefield, used to chant in sannyasi rebellion. So it goes like this: Hare Murare Madhukaita Bhare Gopala Govinda Mukunda Shaure Hare Murare Madhukaita Bhare. That's the Sanskrit shlok. Kalyani had heard from her childhood in the recitation of the Puranas that the sages of paradise roam the world on the paths of the sky, crying aloud to the music of the harp the name of Hari. That imagination took shape in her mind, and she began to see with the inner vision a mighty ascetic, harp in hand, white bodied, white haired, white bearded, white robed, tall of stature, singing in the path of the azure heavens. Hare Murare Madhugaita Bhare. Gradually, the song grew nearer, louder she heard the words. Hare Murare Madhukaita Bhare. Then still nearer, still clearer. Hare Murare Madhukaita Bhare. At last, over Kalyani's head, the chant rang, echoing in the woodland. Hare Murare Madhukaita Bhare. Then Kalyani opened her eyes. In the half lustrous moonbeams, suffused and shadowed with the darkness of the forest, she saw in front of her that white-bodied, white-haired, white-bearded, white-robed image of a sage. Dreamily, all her consciousness centered on the vision. Kalyani thought to bow down to it, but she could not perform the salutation. Even as she bent her head, all consciousness left her, and she lay, fallen, supine on the ground.
So, so now we come to the correct. We were talking about initially that the Anandamath novel is primarily based on the Sannyasi rebellion. Okay. So now we are coming with the initial passages. Now we are coming to understand how the Sannyasi rebels were a kind of saved lives, and how they were resistant against this inhumanity. When famine struck, when there is no food, the cultured human being becomes a ferocious animal that it was in its ancient days, in early days, where humans were hunter gatherers. So when time comes, when there's no food, the inner animal comes out, and we were we were observing how a cultured human beings can become ferocious animals. And within that purview, we see how do I say a light, okay, a ray of light, a ray of hope, and the ray of hope was the sannyasi rebellions and how they gave shelter, how they saved people, how they saved Kalyani and her daughter. So we will read the last part chapter, and then we will close the session today, and we will continue from the next chapter. So go ahead.
So, chapter 5, then. Yes.
Yes.
In a huge tract of ground in the forest, there was a great monastery engirt with ruined masses of stone. Archaeologists would tell us that this was a formerly monastic retreat of the Buddhists and afterwards became a Hindu monastery. For the audience, Bonkim, or let's call him what Rishi Aurobindo used to call him as Rishi Bonkim, he has this tendency to take jibes at many characters of his contemporary time. So over here, he's taking a jibe at archaeologists. Actually, this was a thing which he used to mock about. Like even in his Gita Bhashya, he says us that every time there is something great about Hindus, something majestic about Hindus, there is this propensity of the British intellectuals or intellectualists or archaeologists to give its credit to someone else. So anything good within our texts, oh, it came from the Buddhists. Anything good, anything great, monastery sites or great buildings, oh, this was something Buddhist, and later it became Hindu. So this is the jibe he's making over here as well. It's for the audience, a tidbit. Its rows of edifices were two-storied. In between were temples, and in front a meeting hall. Almost all these buildings were surrounded with a wall, and so densely hidden with the trees of the forest that even at daytime and at a short distance from the place, none could divine the presence of a human habitation here. The buildings were broken in many places, but by daylight one could see that the whole place had been recently repaired. A glance showed that man had made his dwelling in this profound and inaccessible wilderness. It was in a room in this monastery where a great log was blazing that Kollani first returned to consciousness and beheld in front of her that white body, white robed great one. Kollani began once more to gaze on him with eyes large and with wonder. For even now, memory did not return to her. Then the mighty one of Kalyani's vision spoke to her. My child, this is a habitation of the gods. Here have no apprehension. I have a little milk. Drink it, and then I will talk with you. At first, Kalyani could understand nothing. Then, as by degrees, her mind recovered some firm foundation. She threw the hem of her robe round her neck and made an obeisance at the great one's feet. He replied with a blessing and brought out from another room a sweet-smelling earthen pot in which he warmed some milk at the blazing fire. When the milk was warm, he gave it to Kalyani and said, My child, give some to your daughter to drink and then drink some yourself. Afterwards, you can talk. Kalyani, with joy in her heart, began to administer the milk to her daughter. The unknown then said to her, While I am absent, have no anxiety, and left the temple. After a while, he returned from outside and saw that Kalyani had finished giving the milk to her child and had herself drunk nothing. The milk was almost as it was at first. Very little had been used. My child, said the unknown, you have not drank the milk. I am going out again, and until you drink, I will not return. The sage-like personage was again leaving the room when Kollani once more made him an obeisance and stood before him with folded hands. "What is it you wish to say?" asked the recluse. Then Kollani replied, "Do not command me to drink the milk. There is an obstacle. I will not drink it." The recluse answered in a voice full of compassion, "Tell me, what is the obstacle? I am a forest dwelling ascetic. You are my daughter. What can you have to say which you will not tell me? When I carried you unconscious from the forest, you then seemed to me as if you had been sadly distressed with thirst and hunger. If you do not eat and drink, how can you live?" Kolani answered, the tears dropping from her eyes, "You are a god, and I will tell you. My husband remains still fasting, and until I meet him again or hear of his tasting food, how can I eat?" The ascetic asked, "Where is your husband?" "I do not know," said Kalani. "The robber stole me away after he had gone out in search of milk." Then the ascetic, by question after question, elicited all the information about Kalani and her husband. Kalani did not indeed utter her husband's name. She could not. But the other information the ascetic received about him was sufficient for him to understand. He asked her, "Then you are Mohindra Singho's wife?" Kalani, in silence and with bowed head, began to heap wood on the fire at which the milk had been warmed. Then the ascetic said, "Do what I tell you. Drink the milk. I am bringing you news of your husband. Unless you drink the milk, I will not go." Kalani asked, "Is there a little water anywhere here?" The ascetic pointed to a jar of water. Kalani made a cup of her hands. The ascetic filled it with water. Then Kalani, approaching her hands with the water in them to the ascetic's feet, said, "Please put the dust of your feet in the water." When the ascetic had touched the water with his foot, Kalani drank it and said, "I have drunk the nectar of the gods. Do not tell me to eat or drink anything else. Until I have news of my husband, I will take nothing else." The ascetic answered, "Abide without fear in this temple. I am going in search of your husband." Any comments, Dada?
Okay. Yes, comments. I don't think there's a lot of comments today, but a sense of contemplation, okay, a sense of our history, okay, a sense of our ancestors' lives, how they were.
I'm amazed at the description of the wife, especially like the the pride that she has, right? Like that, the pride of being a chaste wife and being dutiful and being so much upright in her morals, that after so much of request, she did not drink the milk until and unless she gets to hear about her husband's well-being. She cannot even dream of drinking the milk. And
Yes,
to yes, Dada.
yes, but look at the both ways, correct? The husband is as much caring and worried about the family and the wife, okay, and the wife is as much
Oh yes,
worried about it, worried and about the welfare of the husband. So,
totally.
this is correct. The relationship that we build over time, okay, and the people whom we live with, okay, that is something which is, we sometimes see things in binary. We sometimes do not think in terms of the holistic approach that it is being shown. Correct? So people say, correct? People there is a malign things have been done and said that we are a society which is patriarchal in nature, patriarchal. But we can see
Hmm.
here in the fictional part of it, okay, and the fiction comes from the reality, and the
Exactly.
reality is that. men and women both, okay, are complement each other. Okay, they care for each other. So these binaries which are being created by narrative and by other means, okay, to divide us, okay, so that we forget our heritage, we forget our history, we forget our ancestors' sacrifices for which we are here today, and specifically uh, the importance of human emotions, okay, of things that we are human, okay. We see animals doing cannibalism, okay, and
Hmm.
how we humans, even in the greatest of test of our humanity, uh, we remain steadfast in our human values. It's the human values
True.
which is being triumphed over our animalistic nature. So
Exactly.
the bhakti, the dharma, okay, which has been ingrained in our civilization, has made us to to preserve our human values in spite of the atrocities, in spite of all the tests that has been given to us, given to Kalyani and her husband. So, like, it gives us the hope. It gives us the hope. It gives despair. It shows despair, but also gives us a hope that we should not leave our human values just because times are tough, and we have to
Yes.
be steadfast and fight over it, fight for it, to keep our human values intact rather than giving away to our animalistic instincts.
Totally. And I think there is also this issue because of the fact that we have this whole uh, indoctrination, I would say, that of individualism. So the individual's wants and needs have is the surmount, and every damn thing has to come under that very aspect itself. So someone who will be like only men should be thought of from his he will take the refuge of individualism and start saying things against women, and same goes with the females as well. And in that, this whole concept of interdependability, like nobody is uniquely possessed of everything. You are very much insufficient in many ways, and to that you need to compensate it by being dependent on someone else as well. This very realization is lost in today's day and age, and there is this whole entitlement that okay, I'm self-sufficient, I can achieve anything, and not only that, I have a right to have it from others, and others need to be subservient to my needs and facilities, or else well, they can have them they can go and die or something. This might be the comment from such individualists, and in these novels we see the exact opposite of it. Like this interdependability is so much cared about. The wife knows what the husband has, and the husband knows what the wife has, and they acknowledge this, and therefore they remain steadfast even at the times of distress. Like today, just based on some choices, or just based on some dislikes, there will be huge fight and so much of issues. But here the scenario is of a freaking famine. Like there are no people to live, and robbers have come, and cannibalism is happening at that instance. Because of this nature which you said about dharma, that dharma nishtha, because of this interdependability consciousness, they remain steadfast and are happy.
Yes, to complement, correct. People say, what is the value of bhakti? So when we say bhakti is power, this is power of bhakti. That
Truly.
the devotion, the power of devotion. Okay. That when you have devotion at your heart, okay, even the worst time like famine, where people have become cannibals, you can still retain your human value. That only bhakti can provide you. No amount of
True.
scientific facts, knowledge, information, or material wealth can match the the power of a devotion at heart. Everything will fail if you don't have devotion.
True. She had devotion to the Ishvara, right? Like amidst that whole, like I was reminded while reading that whole fourth chapter, that it's very much the scene of Draupadi, like in the Sabha Parva, like everything
Hmm.
is lost for her. So she is like completely in bhakti, that now everything is on your hands, O Lord, Madhusudan, and things happen.
And last
That's
part
the whole
before we
point.
close, and the last part before we close, uh, people who are familiar with our Puranas, correct? Puranas and other events which are defined in the Puranas, correct? So we know that the Holy Trinity, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Correct? So Vishnu is the preserver of this world. So we
Yes.
see that when you need a protector, when you need the preserver of this world, okay, of this Brahmand, people call for Vishnu. So Vishnu has
Mhm.
1001 names. So one of them is Madhusudan, one of them is Murari. So
Totally.
this ingrained knowledge of our scriptures, our dharmic scriptures, is reflected without even mentioning Puranas. That it comes from Puranas. People who know our holy scriptures, they know that why in times of famine, in times of difficulty, they would call upon Lord Vishnu, not Shiva or Brahma.
Yeah, that's also there. Mm.
Okay, I think we will. I think it will get a bit more interesting when we read the fifth chapter or the sixth chapter as well. Okay, so we will
Yes.
see how the bhakti movement and the sannyasi rebellion, okay, uh, is being reflected and shown, and how it inspired the revolutionaries of those days across Bharat, from south of India to east of India to north of India, of Bharat.
Yes. Yes. And
So,
also for the audience,
hmm,
oh, sorry, Dasa, yes.
now go ahead.
Yeah, so for the audience, just a small teaser. So in coming chapters, we will go deep dive into, or let's just say, Rishi Bonkim will take us deep dive into the philosophy of resistance and how ahimsa is to be seen in the context of dharma and adharma, how it is to be applied. We'll see that
Yeah,
in
so
the
we will
coming
close.
session.
Yeah, so we will close our session today again by playing the song Vande Mataram.
Yes.
वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् सुजलां सुफलां मलयज शीतला शस्य श्यामलां मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् शुभ्रज्योत्स्नां पुलकितयामिनी पुल्लकुसुमित द्रुमदलशोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुरभाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरम् प्रखर करवाले अबला केनु मारत बोले बहुबल धारिणी नमामि तारिणी विपुदलवारिणी मातरं वन्दे मातरम् तुमि विद्या तुमि धर्म तुमि रिधि तुमि मर्मा त्वं हि प्राणाः शरीरे बाहुते तुमि मा शक्ति हृदये तुमि मा भक्ति तुम्हारी प्रतिमा गढ़ी मंदिरे मंदिरे वन्दे मातरम् त्वं हि दुर्गा दश प्रहरण धारिणी कमला कमलदल विहारिणी वाणी विद्यादायिनी नमामि त्वां नमामि कमला ममला अतुला सुजला सुफला मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् श्यामलां सरलां सुस्मितां भूषितां धरणीं धरणीं मातरं वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम्
भारत माता की जय।